Hey, courageous school leaders. Welcome to Lead Beyond Limits, the space where school leaders like you gain unfiltered insights from educators, uncover the hidden barriers holding your staff back, and get practical strategies to lead with confidence. If you're ready to tackle the real challenges in your schools and create the clarity your team needs to thrive, you're in the right place. Let's dive in and get to work. Hey, courageous leaders. This is Dr. Demia here. It is great to be here on this wonderful first Monday in the month of March, where we are actually beginning the celebration of Women's History Month. So, to all the women, big up to you all, and hoping and praying that you all are doing things that are creating legacies and leaving and making a mark so that there's a history of the things that you are doing. So I hope everyone is doing well. I am super duper excited about tonight's conversation and well, actually me talking, because I don't have any guests tonight. So I'm really excited about tonight though, because I have been thinking about this topic for quite a while and have even experienced it, and we all have as leaders experienced it in some way, shape, or form. And so before I get into that, for people that are new watching this, good evening. My name is Dr. Demia, and you are watching Lead Beyond Limits. And this is a space where school leaders can find unfiltered, strategies and content to help them lead beyond limits, right? To help them lead with confidence, to help them lead with clarity. And so there's a cadence to the show where, the first Monday I'm sharing some content, and then we have a guest the second Monday. The third Monday is a hot seat. If anyone's interested in that hot seat coaching, which can be anonymous, please let me know. Send me a link, a DM, and I'll send you the information. And then the fourth Monday is also a guest. So it has been going really, really well so far. I'm really proud of the work and the strategies and content that has been produced for you all. And I'm hoping that you are finding it valuable. In addition to that, make sure that you are using right now, you need to make sure that you are accessing your Lead Beyond Limits Confidence and Clarity Guide to help you, because you are going to want to, this is going to be good tonight. Okay. I need you all to check in for this one. Okay. So again, welcome. So here's my question for you. Are we even speaking the same language anymore? Like, are school leaders and their staff, specifically their teachers, speaking the same language anymore? Because if you're a Gen X leader, like I am, managing Millennial and Gen Z teachers, I can guarantee you that there is a disconnect, right? Last week I had a guest on the show. He is a actually he's a millennial teacher in Georgia, and was providing some insights on what he thinks school leaders can do to really connect with staff. So if you haven't watched that, check out last week's for some of those tidbits. But what I have found, and I've been posting about this too, is that the clients that I work with, and even school leaders that I come in conversation with, what I'm finding, and even in like district leaders that I'm talking to, are saying the same thing, right? Like, so for example, they'll say things like, I was recent, like, I feel like there's a lack of urgency and commitment of the teachers that are in the building right now. They don't want to do the things that we used to do. When I was a teacher, I used to do this. When I was a coach, I used to do this, right? That sounds familiar. I'm sure you have heard this before. Or as a Gen X leader, you have felt this before, right? So schools are multi-generational workplaces now, right? They always have been, but it feels like it's even more so now, right? Gen X leaders born 1965 to 1980 are leading millennials born 1981 to 1996, and Gen Z teachers 1997 and on, right? And now we have Gen Y, but we won't even go into them. They're not, They're not even in schools yet. So the biggest challenge from the research that I have found, and I really want to continue to dig deeper with this. Actually, if I was in school, I would do a dissertation on this topic because there wasn't that much information out there. There's a lot of information about how the generations typically behave, act, the typical things that they do, but there's not a lot of information out there in terms of how they engage in school as teachers, as educators. And so I feel like there's a gap in that data. So tonight we're going to be breaking down these differences, right? And more importantly, you as a leader, right? Like, how can you, especially if you're a Gen X leader, how can you bridge the gap that exists between your millennial and your Gen Z teachers without feeling overwhelmed or feeling left behind? Okay. So again, get out your LBO confidence and clarity guides for this. So I want to share something with you so that I can talk you through it, so you can kind of get a better understanding of the stance and like just understanding like where this is coming from. So again, there are two things that from the research that I have found that is creating this disconnect between Gen X leaders and the millennial and Gen Z teachers. So you got your communication, right? And you have technology use. We all know technology is growing at a rapid pace. So one of the things that I want to make sure that you understand here is, as we are looking at this chart, I'm going to read it going down. Okay, because I want us to be able to see the difference between Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z, right? As we are going down. So as it relates to communication, right? Gen Xers who are anywhere between 45 and 60 years old, that's me. I'm smack in there. Okay. We prefer direct structured conversations, right? Emails, phone calls, face to face check ins, right? Like, we want to be able to connect with the person, feel their energy, that kind of stuff, right? That's what a lot of millennial leaders want. I mean, Gen X leaders want. This is how Gen X leaders communicate, right? And it's their preferred method of communication. A lot of them, a lot of us. For millennials, anywhere from 29 to 44 years old, is communication is more around collaboration, right? It's collaboration driven, but it's very informal, right? All of the difference, all of those things that we grew up with as Gen Xers, those things are out the window. There's no such things as difference. Every once in a while, you have pockets. And mind you, I want you to understand that when I'm speaking, I am not speaking in totality. I'm not speaking infinitely. I'm not saying that all millennials are this way, all Gen Xers are this way, all Gen Z are this way. I'm speaking broadly, right? Not saying that it's everyone, because we know that there are always anomalies and people who, we know people are individuals and they don't necessarily fall in one lane or another. However, the research has shown that these generations do have specific behaviors in common. Okay. So that said, the millennials' communication is more informal, texting, voice memos, social media groups, right? And then our Gen Zers who are 13 to 28 years old, these are our youngest teachers in our buildings. They prefer ultra fast, like visual cues, gifs, emojis, short form videos. Like, they want things right away, immediately. Okay, so now I want us to take a look at the differences in some of the adjectives and verbs that are in the descriptions, right? So if we look at the Gen Xers, we see, for me, the word that stuck out the most for me was direct. We want direct communication. We want to deal with you and nobody else. We want to talk it through, those kinds of things. Millennials like to collaborate, right? Not to say that Gen X doesn't, but millennials like to collaborate. But the biggest piece here is it's informal. There's no formalities about it. Let me just tell you what I need to tell you in a text and we're good, right? And then Gen Z, like ultra fast and visual. So, as a school leader, what does this mean for you? I need you to put your thinking caps on now. What does this mean for you if you have a Gen Z teacher and you know the Gen Z teacher likes visual communication, likes things to move ultra fast, and your millennials like to collaborate, right? How does this what are you thinking about now in terms of how you are supporting those teachers and providing professional learning for them? How are you coaching them? Right? Your coaching is not a one size fits all approach. You have to cater or teach your leadership team, train your leadership team to cater to those teachers' needs so that they can really grow and develop as teachers. Okay. The challenge and the difference of these different communication styles here is that Gen Z teachers feel like older leaders, our Gen X like me, are too rigid, that we live within these confines and lines. And that's true. I'll admit it. There are some things that I think about right now with education that are antiquated, but it's how I was taught, how I was raised, how I led, and it was effective, right? So, but those things are different now. And then so Gen X leaders might feel like the youngest teachers lack professionalism because we led and were taught in a specific rigid way. Got that? Hope this is making sense. Technology. Let's move to this puppy right here because I know this is a pain in a lot of Gen X sides. So, technology use. For Gen Xers, we have adopted technology, right? Like some of us, like for me, I'm like, you got to learn it or you're going to get left behind. So I'm always on it. I'm trying to learn everything I possibly can about technology. Every single second I get, I'm trying to learn something different about technology, right? I prefer working in person with people, like having in-person trainings because, I'm an empath. I like to feel people's energies and stuff like that. That's just me. I happen to be a Gen Xer. I know a lot of Gen Xers who like that. And I know for sure the Gen X leaders that I know, and even the ones who are not in schools, just the adults period, the like Gen Xers like step-by-step guides and directions. There's no gray areas, right? Um, and so if you're watching the replay, I need you to give me a thumbs up if you're a Gen Xer and you agree with that. Like, yeah, give me some step-by-step stuff. Don't give me the gray, I don't know, let me figure it out. Like, give me the step-by-step guides. And then millennials, like they're early tech adopters, right? So they're right on the cusp of like where we were, with the step-by-step directions. And they're right on the cusp of like technology is growing and evolving. So they are really comfortable with this blended learning piece. Okay. And then when we think about Gen Zers, they are tech native. Like they were born into technology. That's just it. Right. They expect instant access to everything. That's why their communication style is ultra fast. Right. So they expect instant access, right? They use AI tools. They automate everything. So the let's go through these and see like the words, the adjectives and verbs that really popped out for me when I did this research was that for Gen Xers, we prefer in person, right? That is what we like. For millennials, they're comfortable, they have the blended learning. So they're in a really good space as a teacher. They're in a really good space because they can go either or in terms of technology, right? Adaptable. And then for your Gen Zers, they're just tech native. Like they want instant access, right? All the time. Everything's quick, right? The challenge that this poses is that some Gen Xers, right, we still resist. We still resist AI. We still resist a lot of programs. And I'm telling you right now, as a Gen X leader, because if you're a Gen X leader, that means you're probably thinking about retirement really soon, but you still have a lot of some good energy in you. Okay. You cannot resist AI, right? I think that's part of the problem. Well, not I don't think. The research has shown that Gen Xers are resistant to AI and other technology and platforms, while millennials and Gen Z assume everything should be digital first, like everything. Okay. So therein you can see how the technology use and the communication, how they overlap, how there can be a disconnect in how school leaders and teachers are communicating with one another, right? So if you are watching live, drop in the chat what's the biggest generational challenge you faced with your teachers as a leader. And you could be a dean, you could be an AP, as long as you're in a teacher leadership role, like as a leader, a district leader. What are some of the biggest generational challenges you face with your teachers, right? And if you're watching the replay, I need you to pause for a moment and think. What's one generational struggle you've noticed in your school? Okay, that's what I need you to do right now. Here are 3 quick strategies for that. Okay, this is where I need you to get your pen and paper out. Okay, one strategy to help with this disconnect of communication and technology use with Gen X leaders and then Millennial and Gen Z teachers is consider for a moment that to implement like a reversal mentorship model, right? Where you pair a veteran teacher with a millennial or Gen Z teacher for mutual learning, right? And I know we've done like mentorship models before, but in this instance, you're doing it and really honing in on things that they both are lacking that each other can fulfill, right? So older teachers can gain confidence in technology tools and tech tools like AI, Google Classroom, or digital grading platforms, right? Because the younger teachers will pick it up quicker. Younger teachers can learn classroom management, right? Conflict resolution, professional communication, right? Learn that from the Gen X teachers or the seasoned teachers, right? One way that you can think about doing that is you can set up a monthly 30 minutes. I'd say 30 minutes is good enough for a tech and teach sessions. My list is coming out with all these T's and S's. Set up a monthly 30-minute tech and teach session, right? Where each pair shares one teaching strategy and one teaching tip. So the most important part about when you're doing the mentorship model is that you have to carve out as a leader, you have to carve out the space for your Gen X teacher and your younger teachers to meet. If you don't carve out the time, they're not just going to meet on their own. Like they have other responsibilities, other interests, other hobbies, other things that are not going to have them meet after school or at any other time, or so you're going to have to carve out time and really call it like a tech and teach session. Okay, carve out the time. That's the only way that that's going to work. Another strategy that you can use to help bridge the gap, right? Because that's what we're talking about now. We're talking about bridging that gap, the generational gap. Use AI. I need you Gen Xers to use AI to streamline your communication and coaching. That's what I need you to do. I'm going to pause here because I want you to take a breath. I need you to use AI to streamline communication and coaching. I know I've heard it time and time again. I don't trust it. I don't like using it. If you have millennial and Gen Z teachers in your building, you need to be using it. I need you to leverage AI tools to bridge the communication differences that you are experiencing. Okay. For Gen X leaders who prefer structure, right? Use AI powered tools to summarize staff feedback, generate coaching questions, or draft professional emails, right? For millennial and Gen Z teachers who prefer quick interactions, they can use AI driven platforms like Slack, Google Chat, or even voice memos to keep engagement high without long emails, right? Which also means that if they're using it, you can be using it too. How to do it. Try Chat GPT for some coaching scripts or some other AI powered meeting platform that can help recap your meetings, right? So you can catch it all in one space. So that's the second thing. The first thing was, if you're writing it down, a reverse mentorship model where you have a teach and text session. The second one was use AI to streamline communication and coaching, right? To help bridge the communication differences. And the third and last one is create a tech comfortable culture with what? Choice PD. Everyone doesn't have to go to the same PD. Everyone doesn't need the same professional learning. You as a leader identify, and you know this, you can identify what teachers, what staff need specific things for support and growth in your building. So create a tech comfortable culture with choice-based PD, right? Not everyone adapts to technology at the same pace. So give options. One, you're given options, right? So okay, let me slow down. Think about offering PD sessions at different comfort levels, right? So tech basics, right? How to use AI for lesson planning and grading. Intermediate, how about blending learning strategies that integrate technology? Advanced, AI for instructional coaching and data driven decision making. You hear the difference between those three? That it's each, all three of them are introducing technology in some way, shape, or form, but they're different levels to it, right? So the tech basics are, how would you just using AI for lesson planning and grading, right? Start your Gen Xers off with that. If you have Gen X teachers in your building or Gen X staff, okay? Your millennials and Gen Z, they can do in the intermediate levels and the advanced levels, right? Where they are actually using it to analyze their classroom data, and making plans based on that data. It has such a reach, that if you're not taking advantage of it, you are definitely missing out. Okay. Um, so I want to encourage you to create sandbox time, right? The same way in strategy one with the tech and teach, you have to create the 30 minutes, create the time in your schedule. It's so important, please. You have to create sandbox time for teachers so that they can explore without the pressure. Because let's face it, everyone has a life after work. Once you leave school, people don't want to be in front of the computer, in front of the blue screen, trying to figure out technology. They want to spend time with their family. They want to do the things that make them happy. They want to make sure that their cup stays filled, right? So create sandbox time for teachers to do that during collaborative planning. 15 minutes, play around in this on this site with this platform, right? What did you discover this week? How you can do it? Another way you can do it is you can run a monthly ed tech test lab where teachers can try out tools risk free, right? And they can get support from their peers. The other thing is pay attention. All of this is qualitative data for you as a school leader, so you can capture key takeaways for all of the teachers, like for all teachers of all generations in your building. Okay? So if you're watching the replay, let me know if this is resonating with you, if there's some things that you are thinking about right now that have encouraged you or even gotten you to reflect on, well, like, well, wow, I can actually use something like that. Let me think about implementing this. Let me talk to my leadership team around how we're going to implement this, right? A lot of gems dropped here. I need you to pick up one or two of them and think about how you're going to begin to implement them, okay? So these, let me remove this. These differences that exist, actually, let me put it back. These differences that exist in communication and technology here, right? They don't have to create conflict. Unfortunately, they do, especially as it relates to communication, right? Especially as it relates to communication. So when you think about it, when you're improving your communication, you're more primed and open and receptive for the technology use, right? As you, as a Gen X leader, are using technology more, it opens up the line of communication between you and your younger staff. So these differences don't have to create conflict. Like, in fact, um, like I said, if you're using technology the right way, you can actually lead more effectively. And that's the goal, right? Working without having to work harder, you want to lead more effectively. So um, there's an article that I read, and some of the research that I've been doing. There's this article called Managing Different Generations of Teachers: What Educational Leaders Should Know. Older and younger teachers can bring significant generational differences to the classroom. It's a research article done by Walden University. Um, and in that article, I want to share a quote from the article where the writer says, younger teachers won't just like technology, they'll be dependent on it, right? Here's the thing, you as a leader, you don't have to become a tech guru. So take that off your plate, because I know what you're thinking as a leader. That's what we do in education. We take one thing, we want to learn it all right away. Like, I need to know how to do this and do it well. And if I don't, then I fail. No, you don't need to become a tech guru. You need to know how to use technology to your advantage, period. But you don't have to know all the ins and outs. You don't take that out your mind. You just need to know how to use it to your advantage, especially AI. So for I'm gonna give you one or two examples right now. So for staff communication, only for staff communication, because there's plenty of examples I can give you, right? But for staff communication, you can use AI to summarize long emails and staff feedback into a quick action points. What do me and my leadership team as a school leader, what do we need to do based on this email and the staff feedback? Qualitative data. It is the through line in your school. It is the through line of culture in your building. So instead of reading through pages of teachers' concerns, in a spreadsheet, and that, let AI pull out the key themes so you can respond in a real strategic and meaningful way. Right? And I'm not talking about AI doing the talking for you. That's not what I'm talking about. And I will get into that on March 15th during my master class. I can't get into it now because there's a lot to cover as it relates to that. And I've been on for 28 minutes already. And I don't want to make it too long. And then another one, I'll just throw another one in because I've talked about this already. AI, you can use AI for qualitative data analysis. Please use it for qualitative data analysis. A lot of school leaders avoid the qualitative data because they don't have the time to do it. It's a lot to look through the spreadsheets, like sort and filter them, like who said what does this mean? But if you're using that qualitative data, using AI to analyze that qualitative data, it is going to be so meaningful for you. I have a client right now who I just exposed her to AI, and it has absolutely been a game changer for her and her school and her leadership team. Okay, in terms of like processing, thinking about next steps, it is a game changer. So you can run a quick AI analysis on teacher surveys to understand morale. It can help you understand professional development needs, right? Across the generations. I'm not going to get into the specifics right now. Okay. So if you're thinking, wow, this sounds great, where do I start? That's exactly why I am hosting a free masterclass on March 15th. So these generational differences aren't going away. But you, as leaders, the leaders who know how to work smarter with AI will always have the advantage. Let me say that again. The leader who knows how to work smarter with AI will always have the advantage. Again, you don't have to be an expert in tech to lead effectively. You just need the right strategies. That's all you need, right? You need the right strategies to help you streamline your communication, to streamline your coaching, to streamline how you're making decisions with your leadership team, right? And so I'm getting a little stuffy. I'm hosting a free masterclass on March 15th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. From overwhelmed to in control, AI hacks for school leaders, right? This masterclass is going to show you how to gain 5 or more hours in your week, guaranteed. If you implement the strategies in this masterclass, you will gain 5 or more hours in your week. Okay. Why should you attend this? Because it's going to help you feel more confident using AI to manage your workload and to support teachers, especially your Gen X and your Gen Z and your millennial teachers, right? It's going to show you should attend it because it's going to show you how AI can help you save hours in each week on staff communication and feedback. You definitely should attend because it's going to show you simple ways to use AI without feeling like a tech expert, because you don't have to be one. And you are going to walk away with some tools that you could use immediately in your school as a leader. I hosted a short workshop at a conference in January, and all of the ratings from this workshop were fours and fives. Everyone walked away with something valuable. I had some school leaders, a counselor, a SPED coordinator, a principal communicate with me around how they're using AI and some of the strategies that they were shown in this workshop to help them move their school along in terms of understanding the qualitative data, right? That was a workshop at a conference. This is a master class, okay? So your role as a leader isn't to do more. I just want to remind you of that, right? It's to lead smarter. So let's make sure you're ahead of the game. You should register for the masterclass right now. The link will be in the comments and it's also in my headline. So if you want to register and learn more about it, click the link and learn more about it. And on that landing page is the actual registration for the masterclass. So the future of leadership, again, is about working smarter. The schools that embrace, the leaders that embrace AI and generational diversity will thrive. So let's make sure yours is one of them. Okay? Register for the master class, and I will see you there. See you next Monday. Have a fantastic evening. Leave me some comments and let me know how this resonated with you. Have a great evening.